everyone would mute themselves except for the people who are speaking, and please use the chat. We're very excited that you're here and to share everything about the not quite everything, but a lot of good things about the library. And we're going to start with our Library Foundation President, Jane Manley. And Jane, you are on.
Thank you, Helen. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to the party at the library.
Yep.
No, that's not right. No. Party at my house? Party at your house? Well, wherever we are celebrating. We're celebrating the library, its programs and services, and you, our library heroes. We would much prefer gathering at the library as we've done in previous years, but due to the pandemic, we can't. This is the next best thing. I hope you're well, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jane Manley. I serve as president of the board of directors of the Stanislaus Library Foundation. And you are our supporters who have given so generously to make sure that our libraries thrive and serve our community. Before I go further, I want to tell you that we will conduct a live question and answer session tonight with our county librarian, Sarah Denton, and along with board member Bob Gosman. So you can pose questions for Sarah by typing them into your Zoom chat box, located either at the top of your screen or the bottom, depending on your device, and do that now so we have questions ready to go. And don't forget something else for the chat box, the title of your favorite book you've read since the pandemic began. I mentioned our board of directors, and I wanted to tell you who they are. Their contributions to supporting the library are so important, and we're a great team. They are Pat Portwood, our vice president, Patricia Reynolds, secretary, Helen Shore, treasurer, Terry Gamboa, Carol Schauer, Liz Seaver, Erica Treat, Davis Johnson, Bob Gosman, Susan Thomas. Librarian Sarah Denton is a member, and librarian marketing manager Susan Lilly supports our board. So now it's time for you to meet Sarah. Since coming to work as county library director last year, she's been very busy, especially as the pandemic dramatically changed everything. The board is impressed with her skill and grace, and we are so glad that she's at the helm. So please welcome Library Director Sarah Denton.
Thank you very much. I'm so pleased to get this chance to gather with you tonight. I wish we could be doing it at the library too, but if we can't, I guess this is going to be the second best, but it's nice to get a chance to see your faces and to talk with you about what we've been doing. We're going to see in a little bit of video about some of our alternative services that we've been doing over the past 8 months. But I wanted to talk a little bit specifically about the programs that we have, the programs that are funded by the foundation that we've been able to pivot on. I should start by saying thank you. Your generous donations allow us to do so much more than we would be able to do on our own. As you know, we are funded by a sales tax, but even within that, it doesn't leave us a lot of wiggle room for things like programming. And so the support that the foundation provides is really critical. And during this difficult time, it's that much more critical. So we do have a number of programs that were funded last year, and I want to talk about them a little bit and a little bit about how we modified them. So as you know, our 13 locations pivoted to virtual services and no contact services pretty quickly in March. And within that, we also expanded our digital offerings. So we have a number of platforms that allow for digital use of materials from your home. And we were able to redirect some of the funds that we get from the foundation to support our collection to broaden those digital collections. So we were able to purchase additional copies of ebooks on Cloud Library and to add more money to the funding for Hoopla, which is our other platform. And I won't get into the funding, the funding mechanics for that, but it's a pay-per-use situation. And so any additional money that we can put towards that budget means that it's more uses for members of the public. We also added a digital services library card during our closure. That means that people who didn't have cards could virtually, remotely apply and get a library card that would allow them access to our digital resources within just a couple of days. That's something that we've been talking about doing for a while, but didn't actually do until all of this started. Probably the biggest single program that the foundation funds for us is the summer reading program. And summer reading is a reading encouragement program for all ages from birth through adult that runs all summer and is really critical because it addresses kids and families during that time when kids aren't in school. And so during this pandemic, we really wanted to be able to keep it going. Many of the things that we do for that program simply weren't possible this summer. So in-person programs are a huge part of what we do over the summer. And giving prizes at multiple points during the summer when kids come into the library, that wasn't something that we were going to be able to do. So we pivoted to providing virtual programming where we contracted with many of the same vendors that would have been doing in-person programs, and they created special digital programs that we broadcast for a space of a week or 2 weeks. And the foundation funding is what allowed us to do that. Similarly, we did purchase prizes rather than have prizes that people would come in over the course of the summer to pick up. We put prizes into a gift bag. And so after completing at the end of the summer, kids could come and pick up their gift bag all at one time. I do want to say a little bit about the gift bags. For years, we have been giving away toys and other similar, just sort of little giveaway kinds of things. This next summer, rather than giving away a number of little prizes through the summer, we're going to be giving away a book as a finishing prize. So really reinforcing reading, reinforcing that development of a home library for kids and families. And so that's something that's just a little sneak peek for next year. But again, that's something that your funding allows us to do. In addition to those things, because we didn't have as many in-person performers, we did have some money left over. And so the foundation board was kind enough to authorize me to redirect some of that money, which we have used to purchase new cameras, new microphones, and a couple of laptops that will allow us to improve the audio and visual quality of the virtual programming that we're doing, because we anticipate continuing to do this for a pretty significant amount of time. 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten is another program that is supported very generously by the foundation. And so normally what we do, 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten is a program where kids, it encourages parents to read with their children prior to kindergarten. And normally what we do is at some point in the spring, we have a party for every kid who has graduated, every kid who has read those 1,000 books with their parents or caregivers. And we obviously couldn't do that this year. So what we did was we had a special day that was an all-day party. And throughout the day, we had different people reading special story times, and then also giving virtual shout outs to those kids and families who had graduated. So a chance to really celebrate them, celebrate their achievement, but also promote the program and the importance of reading with kids early and often. And then finally, I want to talk about the Juvenile Justice Center. We do have a library at the Juvenile Justice Center. We have not been able to get into the library because, of course, the center is closed to visitors. But we have been able to do, what we have been able to do is to provide them with giveaway books. So rather than having a situation where kids would come to the library and check out materials. We're simply taking donations, deleted copies, and in some cases, books that we've been able to purchase, and we're taking them and the kids can just have them. There's no question of checking them out, trying to get them back. So it's putting reading materials into the hands of those kids who have even less access to resources and things to do than they would in a normal year. So things do look different, but we continue to move forward and support reading and literacy in the community, and we're only able to do that with your generous support. So we are going to have a chance to take a look at a video to show you a little bit more, but I wanted to make sure that that you heard directly from me how much we appreciate everything that you do to help us make these services available, even under really, really challenging times. And with that, I think we're going to go to the video.
You're at the bridge now? Okay, I will see you out front. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good Night Construction Site by Sherry Dusky Rinker and Tom Lichtenheld. Read with permission from Chronicle Books. Down in the big construction site, the tough trucks work with all their might to build a building, make a road, to get the job done, load by load.
The main reason that we have created the Read to Me kits is to help parents be able to make story time at home. We want them to be able to get the early literacy, the different activities, the exposure to the vocabulary that they can get from a story time, but we want the parents to be empowered to do that at home. The examples of the bags. So it's just a clear plastic bag with some nice handles. These are about the right length to go over your shoulder if you wanted to carry it that way.
Trivia nights are a great way to spend some time with your friends and family. They are completely virtual, so we bring the library to you in your house through your computer. You can meet us on Zoom every other Friday evening at 7 p.m. To play trivia, you do have to register on our website to get the Zoom link. We use Zoom for interaction and chatting with each other and to view the trivia questions. And then we use the free app Kahoot that you can download to your phone or your tablet. And we use that to answer our trivia questions.
We had originally planned to just do trivia during the month of July in 2020, but based on popular demand for more of these events, this was a really simple way for us to connect with people in our community at the end of the week.
There's quite a few libraries who do this as part of their Reader's Advisory Service, and it's it's good for the customers to have another outlet to ask for book recommendations, especially during this time. Because of COVID, the inside of our libraries have been closed to the public, and so we still wanted to give customers a way to access us And because they can't browse right now, we still wanted to be able to expose them to library material, to new books, and just give them more choices from home or virtually.
I love that because it gives you a chance to get a little bit inside the library. And of course, we do have limited access to our facilities at this point right now. But it does give you a sense that we may have been closed, but we have been busy behind the scenes all the way throughout. So with that, I think we're going to go to some questions. Is that right, Bob?
Yes, there's a couple of questions for you. An interesting question about how you pivoted your services when the quarantine started. That must have been difficult to flip around completely from people coming in to not coming in. What factors allowed you and your staff to make such a rapid pivot?
Well, we were planning ahead. I mean, we saw how things were going. We were looking at how things were changing in Seattle and New York and in other parts of California. And so I was meeting regularly with county leadership and developing plans well ahead of time. If you remember, actually the week before we closed, we pulled all the chairs and basically restricted seating in an attempt, because that was when rules about gathering size and things were starting to happen. So to sort of minimize the amount of people in the space, we were already making those sorts of changes. So when we got the governor's stay-at-home order, it was, I mean, I won't say it was easy. It wasn't easy, but we had a plan in place. We knew what we were going to do. We knew how we were going to provide services. And I'm so proud of the staff who were able, we were only closed for one day. There was one Saturday that we were not open for any kind of service. And to be perfectly frank, making sure everybody had that day off so they would be ready for this new thing on Monday was really an okay thing. But it was really because we did that advanced planning, because the staff understood why it was important for us to continue to do curbside, even as we were encouraging people to stay home. And so all the way through, really, the staff has been looking for ways to provide services. So yes, it was planning, but it was also just, it's a great team.
Well, it's great to see that, and it's a great service for the community.
Yeah.
You know, we've got branches all over the county, but I think there's a lot of interest in what's the progress. Has there been any hindrances on the updates on the new libraries that are going into Empire and Turlock? Give us an update.
So both of those projects are on schedule and on budget, which is wonderful. We're so pleased. We are in the process right now. I mean, if you drive by either of those, I am not the only person who, if it's been a rough week, will go take a drive by Empire. But Empire looks like a real building now. They're putting windows in and everything. So that major construction is going to be done. I mean, the physical construction of the structure is going to be done very soon. We are in the process of ordering things like shelving and furniture, and I get to pick carpet, and all of that really exciting stuff is happening at Empire, and Turlock is very close behind. It's a bigger facility and it's a more complicated facility, so Empire will be open first. But Turlock is also absolutely on time and on budget. We're looking forward to a spring opening there as well.
So you're not hindered. You haven't been. There's no scheduled setbacks because of COVID.
No, we haven't. And you know, I'm on weekly construction calls, and the construction companies that we're working with are fantastic. They have very very strict safety protocols that they follow very carefully. We don't have any concerns about their safe working practices. Every week there's a
Mhm.
that gets asked, have there been any accidents since the last meeting? And the answer is always no, because we work with really good people who have long relationships with the county. So we have been able to keep moving forward. And of course, since the funding was all in place before any of this happened, funding hasn't been a question either.
So what, while Turlock's being rebuilt, are there books available in Turlock to check out?
So our initial plan was that we would have a pop-up library available at the senior center that's just across the street, but of course senior centers are closed. So we immediately moved, when we opened with alternative services, we moved everything that had been in Turlock, and the timing was just amazing because Turlock had closed, but the pop-up library wasn't open. So or Turlock may have been just about to close, but we hadn't opened the pop-up yet. So everything that was going to go into the pop-up library, we transferred to Denair. And Denair, which is traditionally one of our absolute slowest libraries, it's a lovely little space, but nobody goes there, or not a lot of people go there, has been absolutely hopping. To the extent that, we did open most locations to walk-in users, and we have not opened Denair to walk-in users because they're so busy doing basically the holds for our Turlock patrons, who are some of our biggest readers, that there was just no way that they'd be able to handle that capacity inside the facility.
Well, I'm glad that you're able to accommodate them.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about the Ask a Librarian program? How does that Ask a Librarian thing work?
Sure. So once or twice a week, it's definitely on Saturdays, and there is, I think, also there used to be one on Wednesday, but I don't know if that's still happening. Sorry, I should know that. Anyway, definitely on Saturdays. We do an Ask a Librarian program on Facebook. So people call us, can ask questions, but we wanted to provide an alternative way for people to ask us questions. And members of our social media team know that we have users that do a lot of interacting with us on Facebook. And so they've done this Ask a Librarian program. And that's great. I love it because it gives me a chance to sort of eavesdrop on the reference desk a little bit and see what kind of stuff people are asking. A lot of it is book recommendations, but it's also sometimes, I used to have a card. Can I get a new one? And so we get those sorts of questions as well. But it's the same people who do the book recommendations also work on the Ask a Librarian. So you're getting expert assistance answering your questions anytime you pop in on that Facebook feed.
Oh, that's super good. I love that Facebook idea. I didn't know about that. I'm going to have to check that out.
Our page is very busy. I would say that also our Instagram page is very busy. We do a lot of book recommendations on it.
Oh, okay. Great. Next thing, Sarah, you'll be doing a TikTok dance.
That's something I'm going to defer to my staff on.
I know Susan Lily's been practicing. One more question we have. I remember you said that a number of staff members did other work for the county around COVID testing. So what happened when did they kind of draft your staff over to assist?
Well, yeah. So the county, as part of the countywide effort, they put out a call for staff in a number of different areas. So they called for staff to assist at the testing centers, particularly the testing center that is housed at the Salida Library. And then also for the contact tracing efforts that were at the Salida Library originally, they've since moved to another physical location, but they used the Salida Library to start. And as soon as I heard that they were looking for that kind of assistance, I said we need to let them know about library staff, right? Because library staff know customer service. We know how to talk to people on the phone. We know about things like privacy and confidentiality and how to talk to people about things that are difficult. So our staff was really beautifully placed And we were able to get a number of our staff into positions there. We also had, for a while, we had a staff member working in public information out of the EOC. Also, a number of our staff have Spanish language skills, which they really need. So that was another benefit of having our staff. So all of our full-time staff who had been in positions there are now back because we need them to assist with our library operations. But a number of people who had been working for us part-time are still in positions in those areas.
I'm glad they were able to step in and help. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I don't see any other, how much do you enjoy the challenges of this job? You just stepped into this our position here from Berkeley,
Well,
what, only a year ago? And boom,
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
stepped
it was-
right in it.
It was a year in the middle of October, so I'm at 13 months if I were a baby.
Wow.
So thank you. I will say this. I mean, there definitely have been moments. But this is a fantastic team. And I can't tell you how much it means to know that when I have a meeting with folks, we know that none of this is easy. We know that none of us want to be working this way. None of us want to be working in this context. All of us have stuff happening in our personal lives, in other places that makes this really hard. But staff are committed and they believe in the public service that we do. And so it's really easy for me to come in and say, yeah, this is tough. Everybody's got other places and other things that they're probably thinking about and worrying about. And right now, this is what we're doing. And we're just going to do the best that we can. And so on the one hand, is it incredibly challenging? Yes. But I can't think of a better team of people that I would want to be doing this with. So that's the library. That's also my county leadership. And obviously it's the support organizations like the foundation, like our friends groups that continue to support us through all of these challenges. And that's how I know that, even though when we get to the other side of this, it's going to look different, I think we're actually going to have some really great new stuff. One of the things that we've been asked to do because funding is so tight is to start looking for external funding sources. So I started just shooting information about grants out to staff as I came across it. And so the state library has a number of different grant programs, all of which require you to write the grants in the fall. So last year when I first got here, I sent out emails and nobody was really interested. Nobody wanted to bite. People weren't really sure. This year, I had so many people say, oh, this excites me. I want to write this grant, that I had to say, well, the state's only going to let us apply for 2. So let's talk about which 2 we want to do. And so I don't know if we're going to get these, but what I'm seeing is staff who are ready to kind of jump into this, to take these challenges, to stretch, and to do new things. So, do I wish this hadn't happened? Absolutely. But do I think that we're going to come out of this with some really interesting, creative, marvelous new things happening? We already are, and that's just going to keep coming.
Well, thank you. Appreciate all the work you and all your staff do for the community, the whole county. That's great. We have time for I don't see any other chat questions.
I see something about Turlock books being available.
Yes. And you
Okay.
mentioned that going to Denair.
Okay, yeah. So those books, I will say that the Turlock collection is actually not available right now. The Turlock collection is offline, and we have been buying new books for Turlock all year. So when Turlock opens, there will be some shiny
You're
new
going to have a ton
as well, which is important to me. I like
That's great.
opening a new library with shiny new materials. So I'm excited about that part.
Any of our visitors today have any other comments you want to make? You can talk besides the chat. I see Josh and Mary and Sue and Ellen and
There's another question in there, Bob.
there's another. Oh, that's right, the makerspace. I remember that. I saw, first time I saw that, that was so out of this world, seeing that gadget cranking away for a couple, 2, 3, 4 hours to make something. How interesting. Tell us about the makerspace. What's going on with that?
The makerspace has been particularly challenging. We thought we were all ready to go. And then it turned out that, so Modesto Library was built when asbestos was a commonly used building thing. So any work in Modesto just necessarily involves asbestos abatement. And when they started talking about what they would have to do the abatement, it was much more complicated than any of us had anticipated. And so they were talking about, well, it was just going to be really, really complicated. So the team that was working on it has taken some time to kind of step back, retool the plan, take a look at what is possible, what is plausible, how to do it with a minimum impact to the library. Because of course, if you close Modesto, it's not just the library, it's also, you know, the admin office, the folks doing delivery, it's all of those sorts of things. So it is moving forward. We anticipate construction probably in December. We're super excited about it. The funding is not coming from the library, it's coming from another pot, and the money is all still there, so it is still going. But we were pushed back just because of the complexity. You know, a combination of a decades old HVAC system and a decades old bunch of asbestos in the ceiling means that it's just going to take a little bit more time than we had initially anticipated.
For that update. Josh, you even have a young reader next to you. Nice to see her. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to send it back to our host.
Okay, I really want to thank everybody for coming. This was fun for all of us to do. We had great support from obviously Sarah and Susan and Bob, and it was a real learning experience for me. Just I had to put a background up and things like that. And Davis, everyone has been wonderful. And it's great to have this turnout, to see people who are interested and continue to be interested. And we really appreciate all the donations you've given over the years. And it's nice. We're glad you can find out on a regular basis how your money is spent and the good that it is doing. The other thing that I was thinking about just before signing off is we sent you your invitations via our website. So now you have a vehicle to contact the foundation at any time if you have questions or suggestions for us as a foundation for our support of the library. It would, please use our website and talk to us. We're here to learn about what we can do to support the library more as much as we can. So I want to thank you all for coming. If anybody has any more questions or would like to say anything, I will unmute you. Otherwise, thank you. And we look forward to having an outdoor party next fall. And we're actually looking at a book that I put on there already, The Classic Grill by Nancy Economy. It's in the same kind of genre that Under the Scarlet Sky was. And so you might even just enjoy reading it in hopes that we'll have an outdoor party and meet the author. Anyway, I thank you all again, and we'll look forward to more contact. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.